Hello and welcome to the next level. We're happy to have you tonight, and hopefully you'll stick around for some adventure. Speaking of which, our ask for tonight, we're going to be doing some traveling, and maybe we'll get to like an actual big city, which we've been in a decent sized city, but we haven't really been to a big city yet. So what are some things that you might see while traveling through the countryside and or in a very big city? Not necessarily going to be encounters, but just sort of fun things that might be out there that you can sort of see and, explain and talk about and that sort of thing. Yeah, so if you have any ideas, let us know and we'll include those in the show. Okay, number 2 is D's start of session roll. As we slowly get this book to a place where, 19 is pretty good.
I was like, please, not another one.
Yeah. All right, so slowly working our way through the book, finding out how to access the information in there. All right, so I think that is it for the starting stuff. So we'll get right into things. So we left off last time with our heroes having undergone a bit of a nasty episode where things weren't really working out the way they should in a strange wild magic zone, but they ended up meeting the goddess that I can't remember the name of off the top of my head, but I'm sure I've written it down here somewhere, the Evernight. And because they sort of did well and played well and won her little game that she'd set up, she gave them some charms that they can use in the future as they sort of go forward in their adventures. And that was as a sort of weird, quirky reward for bringing back her sister, the Tree of Shadows. So I guess she just wanted to see what this group was like and test them out, and she did that. So. Now our group has been, and we'll sort of be moving on, and they're heading generally, what direction is that? Westward, and on an adventure to seek out more information from the Aelanine elves. And that puts us back pretty much in game as sort of the next morning. Yes, I believe that's right. As your characters are waking up, you're still roughly in the same area, unless you've sort of shifted a little bit outside of where that magic zone was, which you could leave once the whole thing ended. Yeah, what would you like to do going forward?
Well, I think we're gonna head to Rassaval, I think is what we decided.
All right. So I'll sort of fast track a little bit at the beginning of this. You can sort of let me know if I'm going too fast or if you want to stop me or sort of anything like that. But probably for the next day and a half or so, as you're traveling through, like you were really at sort of the edge of Rukeen. So you're traveling through like really scattered. And so if you come across a village, it almost even isn't really a village. It's like a few houses that are sort of close together. And the first significant settlement that you come to is called Doga. And that's probably, again, about a day, 2 days later. Let's say 2 days to be for simplicity. And at that point, you start to get a bit of a sense of sort of exactly where you are. I know Leone has sense of direction and sort of knows what direction you can head at any point in time, but you don't really know sort of where you are in the country. So you get a decent sense from them of like, if you go down this road, that'll eventually take you to the Gadabi River. And then you could head to Rukeen, and I think there had been eventually talk of potentially going to Boslani as well, but they're like, yeah, no, that's a lot further south. At this point, you've sort of traveled more west than south. So you could go that way, but you'd be traveling again sort of across country and farmlands and that sort of stuff. There's no significant road to get there from here. You'd have to travel for ways to get to like a road that would take you there. So from that point, from this village, you could do things like get a wagon or some horses or a carriage, potentially even, to sort of take you west. But if the main point is to get to the river, you may also want something that you can abandon when you get to the river to sort of take something downriver as well. But you're in a village, you're in Doga. What would you like to do?
Have I ever been in Doga before?
I don't think any of you have been in Doga before, and I don't think any of you had heard of Doga before. Like, this is still a small village. This is probably like 1 to 200 people. So not much larger than your encampment, and yeah, but everything before this was like a couple dozen people. So this is the first one where there's actually been like some semblance of an inn, and you've been staying in barns if you're, actually trying to stay inside and that sort of thing, or sharing people's houses. Or
sorry, what time of day is it?
It's just getting towards the end of your second day, since you've left the, since you started out that fateful morning.
Tor's probably want to go stock up on rations. I haven't been keeping track of it as closely, but he's probably quite low at this point.
Yeah, it's been, I think, I do have a bit of a timeline here. Where's my timeline? Oh, I don't have it up at the moment. One sec. We'll bring up the timeline.
Yeah. Like Torroc, Talyn has not kept track of his rations. So from the point we probably left.
Yeah, the last place you were at that was significant was Gildy's house.
Yeah. It's been forever since I've been to a bar, so.
Yes, there's at least sort of a tavern with a few rooms.
I'm going to try to get up a friendly wagering game with the locals.
Okay.
It always goes so well for me when I do.
So the 30th. 1, 2, 3, all right, I'm roughly estimating here, but I think it's been about 13 days since you were at Gildy's house.
Okay, yeah, Tor is out of rations then.
Okay.
Talyn has 11 left, so if Tor needed some to carry him over,
okay.
he would happily
So
Tor would need 4.
Yeah.
4?
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, Tor would probably want to buy 20 days worth of rations, 20, 30.
Yeah, and here, like, usually in a big city, buying rations is sort of like a small packet of, like, some hardtack bread and some dried meats and that sort of stuff. Here, you're not really buying rations. They're not necessarily looking to outfit adventurers. You're probably buying food. So you're probably buying like food that will at least keep for a few days as you're traveling.
Do we know how far away from Rastaval we are?
You are, so from where you are now, it's going to be roughly, oops, no, I need my other pointer tool.
I'm assuming it depends on if we get there by boat or if we walk or.
Yeah, so boat is probably going to be quicker. You're probably about 2 days to the river. And then once you're at the river, it's probably about a day and a half to 2 days downriver. So about 4 days.
Right.
Okay. Well, Whisp will buy enough for.
It's so dark in here.
Yeah.
Night falls.
At least you know how to fix it now.
Yeah. So Whisp will buy herself 5 days of rations.
Yeah, essentially use the price for rations, but what you're getting is probably a little like higher quality than usual.
Yep.
Some actual like fresh baked bread that day that will last for a few days. Yeah. And some sort of dried meats and vegetables just from sort of it's getting into the harvest time and over the winter. So actually things are pretty bountiful right now. And they do have some, extra things to give you, but they sort of were preparing some dried meats. They're probably starting to prepare some, dried fruits and that sort of thing. So You can have sort of some bits of that, but also some fresh fruit as well and fresh vegetables. So you're probably eating better here than you have in a while.
And what's that? Probably about 5 gold worth for the.
Yeah.
It says rations for 1 day is 3.5 gold, like right in there. So that's what I was.
Oh, does it?
Yeah. So 4 days would be then 14.
Okay. No, that's cool.
No, I think because I had like 7
Rations is five is half a gold per day.
Yeah,
Is it?
yeah. Because then you also
Oh.
have an amount.
No, it's because it was saying because I dropped down to 7 days of
Yes.
rations, it was giving me the cost of all 7 days.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So 2 gold then. Yeah. Yeah. And that, again, that's, going to get you some slightly higher quality stuff here. And this is, mostly farming town. Some people fish in the sort of small river that's nearby, but it's not a river you can sort of travel up and down. It's relatively shallow. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, unless anybody's like particularly wanting to sightsee, Leone is just pretty like, okay, let's go.
All right.
Where?
Yeah.
You are in a town with a tavern. It is evening. Did you want to stay in a bed?
Luxury.
Why not? Let's splurge. Unless it's expensive.
If we splurge too much, it might show off that we have money that's, worth exploiting us for. I would
These
rather
are
spend
pretty
it
simple
on-
folk. Most of them aren't going to probably run you dry, but
I'll share a room with Jacob because he's going to be up gambling all night anyway, so I'll get the whole room myself.
so I'm going to say it's about 3 silver pieces, and that gets you a small room with a small bed, but it's a private room. You could share a room for like 1 silver piece each, for like 2 to 3 to a room.
How about we get Tor a large room with a large bed?
Talyn would also
There
like
aren't
a larger
any-
bed.
Well,
There
there's
aren't
probably
any.
one like large room in this place, and that's probably going for like a gold a night.
So how
I
much is
don't-
it to share a room that has 2 beds that you could probably put together to be an adequate size bed?
If you wanted to do that, that would be 2 silvers.
2 silvers. All right, done.
Or we'll actually spend the gold and take the big.
Okay, they don't get many people taken. Like this is sort of up at the top. It's a nice sort of, this is if any nobles happen to ever come into town sort of room. Yeah.
I love how they look at me expecting me to rent it, and then it's the Barbarian is the one who rents the giant room.
He's
Also, lots of floor space to rejig equipment and.
Yeah.
What's this building like? I'm particularly interested in what the roof is like.
It's probably like what sort of interest do you have in the roof?
I'm looking for a flat roof.
I will say that there is an area where you can sort of get up on top that is flat, but otherwise it's a relatively steep angle.
Okay, but well, I guess then what's the evening like? Like, is it
Like,
is it
so
rainy?
when I
Is
say
it-
an area, there's probably like a 5 by 5 foot.
yeah, exactly. That's what I was
landing.
wondering. What is the
What's the evening like?
What's the weather like?
Well, I will roll randomly on my weather calculator. Let's see what we got here.
I had a perfectly good smartass remark. To
It's
respond to her, what's your evening like? I'm like, it's like the daytime, but darker.
we'll say that there'd been sort of a constant drizzle for most of the afternoon today. And it's just the storm is just starting to gather a little bit more. So there's a pretty constant rain out. It's not like tornado thunderstormish, but there's some rumblings of thunder, and it's a pretty decent storm out at the moment.
Well, that's no good. All right.
So yes,
In that nice bed earlier.
there's enough rooms for all of you. If you'd like one, I will let you figure out whether you want to pay 3 silvers or 1 for a private room or not.
Private room.
There you go.
I don't
So
even
you
need it.
figure out your own sort of costs from there.
Well, hold on, because like what?
I've been hanging out with you people nonstop for 13 days. I deserve a little room to myself. Enjoy.
Yeah.
Go off. I'm drinking and gambling.
Yes. There's probably some like it's just some of the locals playing like a local card game that you have to sort of pick up, but there's probably a bit of gambling going on.
I'm also not going to like try to do too good. I'm just going to use it more to kind of introduce myself, get and like hear about like local news and rumors and stuff, and just
Sure. Give me just a charisma check.
Also, don't tell anyone you're an artificer. What?
Go ahead.
Just a charisma check, you saying?
Yeah, just straight charisma. So whatever your bonus to charisma is. Okay, 14. Yeah, so they're usually a bit sort of insular group, but they sort of get the sense that you're a decent guy, welcome you in, and yeah, they're happy to talk about whatever's sort of going on in town and take a little bit of your money, and yeah.
Whisp is also very intrigued by the game and is going to follow Jacob and also sit down to play.
They are very intrigued by Whisp. Probably also very intrigued by Tor, for that matter. These people do not see Dragonborn or Tabaxi very often.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, you sit down at the table and they're all like, "Oh, is this? Are you?" Not quite sure what to do with you for a little bit, but if you're just sort of quiet and sit there, they'll just sort of eventually go back to their game. And
she's not really quiet. She sits down and she says, "What are we playing?"
Give me a charisma check.
Yeah, I got a button for that somewhere.
I've got a button for that. There's an app for that.
Yeah. Oh, I've got too many buttons though. I'm just gonna roll. Charisma. Oh, I missed. Sorry. Missed a space. There we go.
Oh yeah. Okay. It takes them a little while to get used to you, but once they just figure out you want to play and they're happy to take your money too, then yeah, they sort of, all right, you're just like everybody else, but sort of also a cat. Yeah.
And Whisp is like, "Yep, that's me."
Yeah.
Now, Rob, are any of these? I need to check if any of the rooms in this establishment would be considered suitable accommodations, other than the big fancy room.
Depends. Like I think I know what you mean by suitable, but I think the answer you're probably looking for is no. And yet, given that you haven't had anything close to accommodations in a while, you might be willing to say that, a single room is suitable enough.
Well, because one of my traits is I won't be caught dead in unsuitable accommodations.
Yeah.
So I need to figure out whether these are suitable or not.
You are considering maybe altering that just because you also don't want to be caught dead out in a storm, wet or sleeping down here. So it might just be okay to have a private room for the night.
True, but then, right, because there is the one fancy room that would definitely be suitable, but Torroc has already taken that one.
Yep.
Torroc would also be willing to swap.
For 5 gold pieces.
I have to figure out. Okay, so Leone will ask to see one of the other rooms.
All right. It is plain, but even the bed up in the big one is still a straw mattress. It's still just, this one is plain. There's a bed. There's a, chest for you to keep some stuff in. That's it.
All right. Leone goes and deliberates whether this is acceptable or not.
Yep.
So Whisp is also, so as a bard, she has a trait where she can negotiate for free lodging in exchange for performance. And so she would like to suggest to the innkeeper a trade for free performance for free.
The innkeeper says, probably it's a nice stout fellow. Why don't you do whatever it is you do? Play us some music or tell some stories or whatever, and I'll see what we can give you at the end of the night.
Okay. So Whisp agrees to this, and she'll set up with her viol and at like for her performance, it'll probably be like kind of a mostly storytelling, but with some music in between to kind of get people moving, like upbeat music.
Is this before or after you join the game?
Oh, that's a good question. I think that would be after.
Okay, so a little later at night.
Yeah.
Give me a performance check. 21. Okay.
Yeah, she has a +10 to performance.
Yeah. No, I know. Birds. Yeah. Okay. Oh my. Wow. Okay. So you at the end of the night, the barkeeper's like, that was some of the most interesting and memorable stories and music I've ever heard. You can have a room if you want a room. And also, some of the people have sort of just been dropping coins in something nearby, mug or whatever else, and you managed to make 3.5 silvers. Yeah.
So then immediately, unless this is like closing time after performing, she's gonna take her 3.5 silvers back to the game and say, "Are we still playing?"
Jacob, are you still playing after some playing and then some enjoyment of music and things?
Yeah,
These guys are.
I'm tipsy and having a great time.
All right. We'll say that there was originally sort of a group of about 5, and then you two joined, so 7, sort of really fill things out. Now it's only really the solid guys, so there's like 2 plus Jacob and Wisp that are still going on, and they'll go as late as you want to go. Yeah, they're happy to keep enjoying the game with both of you. Yeah. I'll say that.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I'm not going to have any sort of big thing for the game unless you want me to. I'll say that you come out roughly even at the end of the night, but yeah.
I was just going to say that Mint will probably pay a silver, but possibly share whatever room with whoever doesn't mind a small gnome snoring.
Or is used to the company.
And she's probably going to just make sure that she's got enough shot working on... I've got that one kit that allows me to make my own bullets.
Yep.
So she's going to make sure that she's all stored up on that.
Yeah, if you do that in private, that's one thing. If you do it in the common room,
oh no, I'm doing
music,
it. I'm doing it in private.
All right. So that would definitely draw some attention.
No, that's why I mentioned the room first.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Rob, how
Yes.
far away? Oh goodness, how far away are we from Gildy's house right now?
Give me a moment, and I'll actually do stuff on the map. 350-ish miles.
Okay, that's too far. I'm just like, I have a horse that can go 100, 200 if it's running, and I have a stone of recall. Leone considers going to Gildy's house instead. Okay, how large? It's a problem.
We have the title for tonight's episode, the one where Leone can't find a room.
Is this room acceptable?
I'm going to leave that up to you.
No, that's the title for. That is the title.
What about the tiny hut?
Well, so that's the thing. How big are the rooms?
The single rooms are small. They're probably like 4 by 8.
That's painfully small. And then there's the large room. How big is the large room?
So there are larger rooms that would have more beds in them, and they're probably like 10 by 10-ish. Sort of roughly guessing now, maybe 10 by 12 or 8 by 12. Yeah, 8 by 12, we'll say 8 by 12. And then, yeah, the big room up top is probably like 20 by 20.
Okay. Well, no, because then I'm like, I could make my tiny hut inside the room, but the big room is the only one that it'll fit in. All right, so there's an 8 by 10. There's an 8 by 10 room.
8 by 12, yeah.
8 by 12.
I have to imagine the definition of suitable accommodations is scenario specific.
I know.
It is, but it's still like, oh, this is not what Leone would have ever expected to spend a night in. And just
You're learning to adventure. This is part of the
yeah, but
Torro's you so many favors. You could always ask.
No, but Torroc has had such a rough time of things. Like normally Leone would totally just be like, so but Torroc has had such a rough time of things lately. But Leone is like, no, I can't do that. Can I go back to Gildies? No, that's too far.
Well, if there's enough room in Tor's room, though, is there enough room for the bed that Tor's sleeping in and the tiny hut?
No, because the tiny
No?
hut is a 10-foot radius. So the tiny hut would take up the entire space.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh.
Which I mean then you would be inside of the tiny hut, but like I don't think the Leone is having all of this is all internal anguish that no one else knows about.
The one person in the party who doesn't need to sleep.
I know.
I know, but also it's like this, these things are important. They're important to Leone, okay? I guess
That's what makes them important.
I guess Leone gets one of the second biggest, the nicest looking room possible.
Well, again, it's not that it's a nicer room. The big ones are just like the small ones, only they have 3 beds in them.
All right, but it's really storming outside, yeah?
Yep. You wanted to know what the weather was like.
No, I
could have
know.
just told me you slept outside and I wouldn't have cared, but you wanted to know what the weather was like.
No, but this makes now I have anguish.
I know!
Now there's anguish.
Where is Leone struggling with this? Is it within eye shot? Can I see him struggling with this decision anywhere close by?
Her.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, probably. It's probably in the main room, right where she's like looking up, and then probably goes a couple times to see a couple different, like on separate occasions, just like, well, can I see this room? And then comes back down and is like, oh, okay. Can I see another room? Comes back down. So probably is like going up to look at the rooms a couple times and just coming back down and pulling out the Stone of Recall and considering it. Yes. So undoubtedly you can see that Leone is just...
In one of the trips to the bathroom that I happened to pass by Leone, I go up to her and I casually whisper over, the locals mentioned there was some goods stolen here just a few days ago. I would watch your belongings, Leone. And then head to the bathroom.
So cruel, I love it.
Why would you do that? Why would you do this? I have an 8 on my insight check. I believe you.
Jacob's a bit mysterious.
Jacob's a bit of a jerk.
All right, so now Ranu is definitely like scanning the room, watching Leone. Leone is clutching her items closer.
You know what? I'm just going to make a call here. You have a level of exhaustion the next day. You don't really get a good trance in. the entire night you spent trying to figure out if you were going to sleep or not, and where you were going to sleep, and how you were going to sleep. And yeah, no, I'm going to say you just don't.
Indecisive the whole night. That's
I'm okay
brilliant.
with it.
I feel I might be
Okay.
to blame for that.
And up to Wisp and Jacob, whether you are up all night gaming or not.
No, Wisp would go to bed eventually.
All right.
Yeah, I think I'm not going to get a lot of sleep tonight, but I don't think I would. Yeah.
All right. So the morning comes. The rain has stopped. It's nice sort of late fall day. You're enough so south that it's not cold in the late fall here, but it's the harvest is still coming in, and you get up probably because there's just a decent amount of commotion in the common room, and it's not bad commotion. It's just people come here for their meal, and this is where they have their breakfast. So a lot of people sort of coming in to grab a meal before they head out to the fields, and you all come down at various different times. You've again got about a 2-day bit of travel ahead of you. Do you want to try and book accommodations on a wagon that happens to be heading in that direction, or you could buy an entire farm out of their horses? Again, you're only going to need them for 2 days, but what would you like to do as you prepare for the next day?
Does this world have anything like coffee? I don't even know if that would be.
It does now.
All right. Then
Unfortunately, the
Stimulant.
coffee in this location, to Leone's exacting standards, I'm going to say Dell. Dell has coffee, and this is sort of far enough south that they've heard of it and they've got some, but this is horrible stuff. This is yeah.
Cowboy
Everyone here
coffee.
drinks it and thinks it's great, but to your taste, this is rough.
Well, thankfully I have prestidigitation, so I can flavor it.
There you go.
But so
And just in a bit of a spiteful thing, Tor comes down. Everything's been the armor looks cleaned up and polished. Everything just sparkles a little bit. He's actually seems to be in an interesting, good mood.
and Leone has bags under her eyes and hair slightly disheveled for the first time you've ever seen, and is clutching a glowing cup of steaming coffee and drinking it, kind of making a bit of probably taking a drink and then doesn't even really notice that it's quite so just looks absolutely miserable.
I love it. I did not expect this inn to be that much of a story, but there you go.
That was amazing.
And Leone
Very
is just
character-driven.
Yes.
Leone is just remembering the first farmhouse that we came to,
Mhm.
that whole fiasco, plus the day when all of her stuff was stolen. So this is just it's poking at these events, and just she's a mess.
Okay.
Wisp is very curious about what Leone is drinking and takes a sniff and kind of does that thing where an animal a dog or cat, they smell something ugh, and she kind of makes that face. She's like, enjoy.
Love it.
Probably
Yeah.
grab some grub from the inn before heading out.
Leone
Yeah, I'll
tries-
include that in whatever the 4 or 5, or I guess it's 2 or 3, 2 gold that you're paying for your food for the next 2 days ish.
Continental breakfast included. Woohoo!
Yes.
Leone cries softly. into
Which
her coffee.
continent? What?
Well, you have the map there. You can
I,
see which continent.
Better than an incontinental breakfast.
that's true.
Definitely.
That would make for a really long trip.
All right. As soon as anyone is close to ready, Leone is outside and has conjured a horse and is like, "Let's go."
So these wagons are not suitable, or the
Leone's taking a horse. Whatever the rest of you want to do.
I've got my dragon mount. Tor?
Tor picks up Mint, but then looks at the wagon and thinks, okay. Anybody else going to wagon?
I would wagon, but if Mint is riding Tor, then Talyn will just walk beside.
Tor could insist on a wagon. Mint can't stop.
Mint can ride on Tor on the wagon.
There you go.
You said that it's Rob. You said that it's 2 days. Is it
Yep.
2 days by wagon, or is it 2 days walking?
It's 2 days walking. It's still roughly 2 days by wagon. Wagon doesn't get you there that much faster. It just gets you a little bit easier.
We've been doing a lot of walking.
How much will it cost per person for the wagon ride?
Well, someone's sort of taking some wares into the city. So yeah, if you sort of hop on the back of their wagon, they'll charge you like, sort of look at you as like, you're highfalutin folk. You can see sort of the wheels slowly turning. He's like, I can make some profit on this. I'll charge you like 1 silver each. And when he sees that that doesn't faze you at all, he quickly adds per day.
And when he sees that doesn't faze us,
Then he just realizes he's made a horrible mistake, but he sticks with that price.
Talyn will try to.
We assume that there's insurance included in that charge.
He doesn't know what that word means.
Oh, you'll find out.
Talyn doesn't seem like much, but he's city wary, etc. And so he's going to take him at his 5 silver pieces, per person total, and try and keep that as the price.
It would be, well, I suppose, yeah, one's riding. So yeah, 5 silver pieces per day is 10 silver pieces. So yes, you wanted to negotiate that, or is that your?
Well, he said 5, then he said per day.
Yes.
And I'm like, no, you meant 5 each. That's the price we're willing to pay.
Wait, what? That is not what he meant, Talyn. He meant 5 total, 1 silver per person.
Yeah,
And he
that's
added-
what he's saying. But there's 5 of you on the wagon, so that would
Yeah.
be 5.
Right.
Yeah.
But I thought you said, then he said per day, so he's actually
yeah,
up to
yeah.
10.
Yeah.
So Talyn is trying to keep the price at 5 for the
Yes.
2 days.
8.
Oh, okay. I see what you guys do. I see what you negotiate.
Wisp
Even
says,
Tor's like, we're letting Talyn negotiate.
Talyn's probably decent at this. It's like, you said 5. We will take it at 5 or we will walk.
Give me a persuasion check.
Alrighty. Now I'm going to eat the words that said that.
Can Wisp help with this?
Does Wisp want to help with this?
I think she would. I think that she'll
Then
see.
you can aid and give Talyn advantage.
Okay. So she's gonna aid, and she's gonna say, how about 5, and I play you any song of your liking.
Tor will provide, his persuasion help just by leering.
By intimidating.
Crosses his arm and just does this.
They're being nice and you're being intimidating. I think
No.
that negates it.
That's right. I got advantage and I'm trying to guide myself.
Good cop, tall dragonborn. Isn't that the way it works?
19. Oh, okay, so I gotta say one of those was a critical.
Yeah, the guidance was a
All right, he'll take 5 gold with the song, and
Yeah.
Gold. Hey, silver.
Thought I'd try and slip that in there. No, 5 silver with the song, and no rending of limbs from the dangerous one.
Yeah, I'll behave myself. Oh, you meant Tor. Yeah.
No, that's because you would have been on his shoulders. Yeah, I'll behave myself from Mint.
And he sort of, and it's not a shaking of head of like he doesn't believe you're dangerous. He's like, oh, I have horribly underestimated this group, and if she's the dangerous one, then I'm really scared.
All right.
It's true. It's also like Wisp, Tor, and Talyn are all very tall.
Yes. I love how your character went from one of the shortest to the tallest.
I just realized, yeah, like Gildy was shorter than Mint.
Yep.
Now Mint is the short one.
Yep.
Oh.
Quite a lot too. Or how tall is Leone?
Leone, I think, is like 5'4".
Yeah.
Okay.
Bitty bitty.
Aw. Didn't that Fey magic make you shorter or taller, or didn't it do something?
It wore off, so it made me a couple inches taller.
It does
I
not wear
think.
off unless you had somebody cast a remove curse on you.
I thought you said that it wore off from the wild magic from before.
Most of the wild magic wears off. That specific one says that it just stays. So if you wanted to remove curse, you could have,
The store's a little younger.
Yeah, store's a little younger. I think you had somebody cast something on you at the time or a long time ago to add some or remove some of the extra height on you. But anyway.
No, what I'm trying to remember is I think I got hit by wild magic twice in a row. One
Yes.
made me the one way, and then it brought me back, and I was like,
that could be
because
it.
I remember being
Yeah.
disappointed that I ended up the same height again.
You were just double cursed, so.
Yeah, it was.
All right.
Talyn will pay the 5 silver for everybody.
Okay. The probably merchant more than farmer. He's sort of gathered up a bunch of wares from the farmers, and he's going to take them into the city. So he's like, yeah, just hop on the back of the wagon, and I'll take you to the river, and maybe even do some. I know some of the riverboat drivers. Maybe I can get you a good deal there as well. So they charge more than I do. I'm not used to working with people hopping on my wagons. All right. So the next 2 days, as you travel on wagon or horseback, are mostly uneventful, but you're traveling through like picturesque, prairies and farmlands. The farms, like, you don't see a lot more villages, but the farms sort of get a little bit sort of closer together, and there's sort of more sort of clusters of villages, and probably even a decent sized village sort of at the river, sort of as you get closer to the river. So the second day and sort of later in the second day, as you get closer to the river, there's sort of more and more and more. You're getting sort of closer to the more populous sort of areas of Rorotari. And yeah, about mid-afternoon on the second day, you arrive at like this very wide river. It's sort of a good, significant waterway. There's again probably a decent little village there with sort of lots of docks going out into the river, lots of riverboats, barges. The lots, like at this time of year, lots of stuff is being loaded up with bags and sacks and crates and all sorts of sort of foodstuffs. This is where you feed the capital, so it's all heading downriver to the capital at this point. Yeah, and the merchant's like, well, here, I'll let you figure things out for yourself, but I'll point out the 3 sort of best riverboats that I've sort of worked with in the past. You got. Pick 3 names at random here from my nice little list of names. Where am I? Almost there. Rakeen. There we go. There's Barum. He's got a solid boat, and it'll probably get you there, quicker than most. But he might charge you a little bit more. There's Mirak. He's again a nice solid boat, bit more of a barge though. Probably the cheapest of the 3 that I'll point out. Probably also the least pleasant. But he's a good captain. He'll give you a good rate. And finally, there's Pasha. Pasha, she's a strict one. Doesn't sort of allow any sort of funny business on her boat, but she's probably a bit of the middle of the road. Got a good boat and decent price for taking wares and people downriver. She's probably going to be pretty packed with stuff, though. Maybe not be a lot of extra room for you. Might cost a little more to fit you in. Not quite sure.
Talking to the group, we probably should avoid the last one, as the no funny business excludes us from bringing Jacob along.
I would retort to that, but I'm currently, still rough from a couple days ago. That was a rough drink.
I'm speaking up for you. I want you to come along.
Right. Yeah, Leone is definitely in favor of the first one.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Might cost more, but sounds like it'll be the quickest.
Sounds like a fancier boat.
Oh, okay. There's that too.
Well, the third one is probably actually the fanciest. The first one is the biggest. Yeah.
Oh, fancy boat and no funny business. And Leone is definitely interested in the third boat.
Uh-oh. Well, if Jacob wants to behave himself, he might be able to recover.
Well, Leona's at least interested in checking it out because there's also the, might not have a lot of space. So if it's going to be super cramped, then no. And we'll go with the first one. But if there's space, Leone would be interested in the first one.
All right. So yeah, you approach Barum, and he's easy to find. He's the one sort of directing things. Again, good-sized riverboat, and that's in actually sort of a full boat with a couple of masts, and sort of lots of stuff are being loaded on, and you got sort of a couple of cranes filling up his hold. You can approach him and sort of grab his attention for a moment. He's like, what can I do for you fellows?
All right, if nobody else is stepping forward, then Leone will step forward and say, we are looking for travel to Rashaval.
Fair. There's a group of, 6 of you?
Yep.
Yeah, indeed.
6 people, 10 gold each, 60 gold to get you there.
We were thinking slightly less than that.
Then you were thinking of a different boat.
Can I make a persuasion check to haggle him?
You can. He's going to haggle back. I'm not going to do a DC this time.
22.
Nice.
All right. And I actually rolled not as well for him. So what are you haggling towards?
Did we get any sense of how much, or actually, you know what? I'm from Dell. We know about boats and things.
Yeah.
How much should this actually cost for like a 2.5-day trip on this kind of boat?
So I was just looking it up. So roughly, the suggested price for ship's travel is about a silver piece per mile. You are going 100 miles. That is 10 gold. He's probably charging a little bit high, especially since you haven't seen the accommodations, and you don't really know exactly how you'd be traveling. And again, this is river travel. It's a little bit different. It's, you're going to be partially just carried by the current downriver. So you figure either A, you definitely want to see where you're staying if you're going to pay 10 gold for a room, or you can potentially get him down to maybe even half of what he's charging you if you're just going to be sitting on deck for the entire time. So, yeah.
Then, yeah, Leone will definitely ask to see the accommodations before we consider anywhere near that price, and then based on the price we'll try and get it down to like 2/3.
All right. He'll show you to probably 2 small rooms that will fit you all, but it would be tight. And it's like, yeah, I've got everything else loaded up. I've got space here. I mean, if you want to pay extra, you could have my room and I could take one of these, but yeah.
All right. Then Leone will haggle that I will take his room and will pay the price that he originally suggested.
Okay, so the rest of the group is going to be in one room?
No, they can like share the
Share the
space.
captain's room with you?
No.
No. Oh my goodness, we're going to be cramped.
Well,
guys.
how big is the captain's room? How large is the captain's room?
The captain's room is probably I've got a no, it's not up here, but I've got one sec. I'll quickly look up my boat image.
And Leone is doing the whole, like, running the finger along a railing or something and checking the finger, like the whole deal, just like going full, accommodation checking.
Yep. Okay, let's see. What's the captain's room? Oh, that's the
So
captain's room.
Whisp is gonna pull aside, I don't know, let's say Talyn. And she's gonna say to Talyn, like, do do you all normally spend this much on your accommodations and travel?
This room's roughly 15 by 10.
Yes.
By 10?
And Wisp like looks in her purse or coin purse or whatever and says, so I don't think I can afford this.
So what is happening this point? So are we around Leone? Is the negotiation still happening?
Probably, yes.
Okay.
I mean, it depends on if you guys would have wanted to come, because she would have gone to inspect, so we'd be in the hold of the ship having this conversation, I figure.
Wisp would have avoided going on the ship if she could, but she would have followed everyone else if everyone went.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you're all on the ship looking at the rooms.
Okay. So yeah.
Do not like the idea of being a sardine in one room.
Yeah.
So Leone is attempting to haggle that I will take the captain's room, and then the rest of you will be in these rooms, and I will cover the expense, and we will give you full price.
Oh, so you're not going to leave the captain a room? Okay.
Well, the captain can share a room with my companions.
You know, the big cat, the big dragon,
the big Goliath. What?
Captain's like, all right. You want all 3 rooms? I'll give you all 3 rooms for 75 gold.
And he originally suggested 60?
Yeah.
Wisp is very uncomfortable. She's like kind of like going from foot to foot, and her tail is just like twitching like mad. She does not like this.
60 gold.
That's good, yes.
I think we should actually check out the other boats before we settle on this one, because this seems really sus.
60 gold, and I shall fix any equipment that you have that is damaged using magic, and can also clean some of your boat. Actually, Leone would know whether it was a boat or a ship.
River boats, ships go in the ocean.
Your riverboat. Gust of wind. Blows Leone's hair in the hold of the ship.
Yeah. Wisp. So Wisp is very uncomfortable with this amount of money, but seeing what Leone is trying to do, Wisp will pipe up and be like, "I can play some. I'm pretty good. I've got like a lute and a viol. Like I can play all kinds of things, tell all kinds of stories, entertain your crew for a night."
All right, he'll take that. So a little bit of cleaning, a little bit of crew entertaining. You can have all 3 rooms for 60.
All right, I pay him 60 gold.
There you go.
But I take the captain's room.
I'm happy to stay in one of the.
If you're paying for all of them, then sure.
Yes.
Wisp's eyes are like bugging out of her head. Like she's really never seen that much money exchange hands at once, I think. So she's very like, what is it? Who are these people that I'm hanging out with?
What have I got myself into?
Yeah.
Did I mention that I'm paying it in silver pieces?
Doesn't really mind, but that's okay.
I'm imagining just this like giant bag being like emptied of coin.
Pretty much, because I have a bag of holding. And then I'm just like pouring out 600 silver pieces.
So a bag that doesn't look like it's holding that much, and then just like
Okay, yeah, he's got a chest and fills up a chest with like all these silver. He's like, pleasure doing business with you. Okay, you have a ship downriver. It is loaded up. It is like quite full with cargo by the time he's ready to sail. But that evening, sort of just after dark, he sort of sets off from the docks, and the wind fills his sails, and he starts. Actually, I'm going to say that sort of prevailing winds would be upriver. So he's sort of got most of his sails furrowed. He's doing a little bit of tacking, but mostly he's just following the current downriver.
Now, that's only for up to 1 minute. Nope.
You're going to use gust of wind.
Yeah, but it's only for up to 1 minute, so it's not going to be.
Is it a cantrip? Can you keep recasting it, or is it?
No,
really
Gust of Wind is a second level spell.
Oh, second level.
Yeah,
Oh.
gust is a cantrip. Gust of wind is a second level spell.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so you are traveling downriver. It is quite peaceful. There are sort of several other boats, big and small, that are sort of moving down the river with you. Again, last couple of days have been relatively nice. As sort of evening falls, there's some clouds moving in, but no sort of rain at this point. And yeah, with Wisp playing a little bit on her viol, it's really quite a sort of a pleasant evening. Jacob, you can easily find some sailors that will oblige you with a game or two. Probably dice. Sort of just quickly doing some dicing on the deck between some of their chores. They're probably wagering in chores, so not sure if you want to get involved in that or not.
No.
Yeah, you can offer money, and they're like, no. So you can watch and maybe start a sort of your own game with some of the others every now and then. But yeah. Again, a relatively pleasant trip downriver. At one point, there is some birds that land sort of on the spars of the sails. And you're a little taken aback. This maybe is a local phenomenon, but they seem to be talking. They're not really making any sense, but there's these sort of little pigeons that seem to be using human words, and even is occasionally sort of full sentences, but it's rarely sort of coherent sentences. That there's just it's no one else seems to take any notice of them, but for the rest of you, you're like, that is something I've probably never seen before.
Given our history, Tor would be like, are they possessed or am I dreaming?
Nope. Everything else seems to be fine. Jacob is a little concerned as to, maybe some of his pigeons from his hat got out, or the doves. But nope, they're just talking pigeons. Yeah.
Wisp wants to talk to them immediately. She sees them, and
they're like way up on some of these spars of the ship. Are you going to try and get up there?
Ooh, that is a good question. Because on the one hand, I'm like, she's a cat. She would climb things. On the other hand, she does not want to get near the water. And if she's up on the thing, the water would look very much closer if she were to fall. So I think she'll so I'm going to say that it's halfway, it's like partway through one of her sets, and she's like in the middle of telling a story, and then she notices these talking pigeons, and she just kind of trails off. And she looks up, and she looks at the people listening, and she says, "Are they talking?"
And all the others like, "Oh yeah. The pigeons around here, they've been talking for ages. Some say it's some weird wizard did something some ages ago to a bunch of pigeons, but they talk."
What do they talk about?
Usually fish and bread. Sometimes nothing that really makes sense.
Now,
I could talk about fish and bread. And then she goes to climb up closer to the pigeon.
And this is Rukeen.
Yep.
So I take it history of Rukeen would potentially, okay, because I actually, from when I studied in the monastery, I have advantage on history of Rukeen.
Now, I'll get to that in a sec. Wisp, you have seen sailors climbing up sort of this webbing netting that sort of goes from the side of the ship up to the masts. Would you climb up that, or would you just use your claws and climb directly up the mast? You have a nice center of the ship. You're sort of farther away from the water. You have to go sort of over the water to get the webbing.
Yeah, she would definitely not go over the water, so she's gonna use her claws to climb up.
Yeah, you get about halfway up, and the captain's like, "Hey, you, down from there! Don't ruin my mast! You're yeah, as if he's talking to a cat that's climbing something that shouldn't."
So Wisp hisses a little bit, but she does climb down. And now she's very sad that she didn't get to talk to the pigeons.
That's fair.
She'll pick up her viol and she'll start playing a song again.
I ended up with a 15.
15. Okay. You're fairly certain you've never heard of any powerful wizards in Rukeen that enchanted pigeons. There have been wizards from Rukeen, but if they ever enchanted pigeons, it was not something they put on their resume.
Okay, but I've heard of these. I've heard of these talking pigeons of Rukeen.
Oh yeah, I'll say with the 15, you've sort of heard mention of them before, but this is the first time you've ever seen them, and they're still a bit of a weird sight. Yeah.
Okay, but no idea as to what the source would be. But I just know that according to local folklore, they think it's this, but I'm highly suspicious.
Yeah.
All right. I don't bother saying anything. I just seem less impressed with the talking pigeons.
Okay.
Leone is still hurting from the from that one in because I realized my constitution is so low that Leone's probably been sick for the last couple days.
Oh yes.
And is just not feeling well. So, all right.
That's fair. All right. And then again, about 2 days later, as you've been sailing downriver, it's a nice, relaxing journey. The city starts to come into sight. Oh yes, I can move it. There you go. Thank you for moving you downriver. The city starts to come into sight, and this is. I'll let you each sort of figure out for yourself. Like definitely for Leone, this is not the biggest city you've seen. Delvara would be bigger, but this is like a significantly larger city than Silver Lake. It's potentially the largest city some of you may have ever seen. It's a large city, and it sort of sprawls out. You can see there's sort of a. Actually, you probably can't see. You can see a significant wall around it, but then it sort of sprawls out into sort of the countryside outside of the wall as well. And like, yeah, even sort of above the wall, you can see towers and spires and domes and this one massive structure that's sort of, towards the north end of the city, has sort of banners and things sort of off of it as well. And yeah, I'll sort of let each of you, however you want to respond to this sort of a city, sort of can sort of figure that out. You are going to get off the boat before you get into the city. There's a significant gate, a wall and a gate across the river, and the captain seems a little bit sort of perturbed. He's like, they've got the river gate closed for some reason. We'll have to dock outside. That's such a pain. We need the wagons to get them into the city. Like, he's just going on and on about how much extra this is going to cost to get stuff into the city and finding a dock outside the city and so on and so forth. But manages to find one, and you can all sort of disembark quickly before all the other big heavy stuff starts to come off the ship. But yeah, there's a significant wall, as you can see this sort of gate that goes down into the river, that's sort of blocking sea traffic. And there's also a significant lineup. Like there's a gate on the road that you sort of come onto, and there's a significant lineup of people that are trying to get into the city on the road as well. You're not sure if it's just a busy time of year, if it's always like this, but yeah, there's sort of a bit of a wait to get into the city.
Leone is definitely going to conjure a horse.
Okay. That actually causes a bit of a stir as people around are like, oh.
You know
horse
what?
appears out of nowhere.
Yeah, the steed actually can look however I want. So Leone is going to conjure a phantom Felidar.
That is awesome. Okay.
Because she's missing Alphonse, and also just feels like being extra fancy.
Yep. That's gonna work so well. Okay.
I was thinking about talking to some of the people in line just to see if they know what the line is about. Like what kind of things do you need to present when you get up to the start of the line? Just to make sure we have everything we need to make our process go faster.
Give me an investigation check.
So
sure.
I should mention Leone was conjuring a Felidar, and then once we get to there, Leone is basically just going to go to the front of the line astride her Felidar and then use her position of privilege to basically be like, hello, my friends and I would like entrance. Now, please and thank you.
So you're going to try and move around all these people?
Yeah. If there's room, like, am I going to be knocking people into water if I do that?
Not into water. Like, so you sort of come off the docks and then you come inland a little bit to where the road is. There's sort of buildings along the shoreline. But yeah, this road is pretty busy. This road is pretty packed. You would be needing to move very carefully to try and move through people, and probably a lot of them would get very upset.
Well, I mean, position of privilege says the common folk make every effort to accommodate you and avoid your displeasure.
True.
And I don't.
None of them know
often.
you're a noble at the moment, even though you're riding a Felidar, which is pretty darn significant.
Well, I figure I have the fancy clothes. I conjure myself a glowing scarf. I'm riding a Felidar. I'm like, where most of the time I'm kind of keeping things kind of, relaxed. I am exuding nobility as I ride towards slowly and, excuse me, pardon me,
right.
Excuse me, coming through, thank you.
Give me a, what would the...
I got a 15 on my investigation, by the by.
All right, I'll get to that in a sec. Here, I can look it up in here. One sec. What do I want to get here? Give me a performance check. You are putting on a bit of a show. Give me a performance check.
It was almost a 19. But the position of privilege, thanks to your noble birth, people are inclined to think the best of you. You're welcome in high society. People assume you have the right to be wherever you are. The common folk make every effort to accommodate you and avoid your displeasure, and other people of high birth treat you as a member of the same social sphere. You can secure an audience with a local noble if you need to. So I don't use it often, but this is a time when I feel like Leone is just going to play the I am a noble card, do what I want.
So we'll get back to that. So we'll address Mint's investigation. So Mint, you, as you're moving through the crowd, probably in the wake of Leone and the Felidar, you're sort of asking around about what's going on, why is it, what's the wait, is it usually like this? 60 to 80% of the people are like, I don't know what's going on. This has been going, it's usually not like this. Today it's been crazy all day. Usually you can get in and out of the city. You do hear a couple bits of things from some people who are sort of rumors floating around that there was an attack inside the city, that there was somebody killed a noble inside the city. The nobles are up in arms and looking for somebody for some reason. So yeah, there's something has happened, and it looks like they're probably slowing things down and checking a little bit more thoroughly at the gate as people come in.
I do have a stone of communication, and I do believe that Leone has one as well.
I do.
And so I'm seeing that Leone has gone on ahead. I want to relay to her that there is a rumor that someone killed a noble, so maybe making a show of being a noble right now might be bad.
This is amazing. Because I'm also thinking, you know what? I have prestidigitation. One of the instantaneous effects is faint musical notes. So basically, Leone is slowly making her way forward, looking as noble as she ever does, with like her own theme music playing.
And you might have just made yourself a target. It's great.
And then,
maybe you want to cut that out.
Ring, ring. Oh yeah, somebody killed a noble here. Like,
so the Felidar turns into a donkey.
This is beautiful.
How far have I been able to get in my procession so far?
I'm going to say you're within sight of the gate. Like, this is about a decently long line, and you were sort of let off a little ways downriver. You're within sight of the gate. You can see that there's guards there, and they're sort of letting people through one at a time, and wagons through in bits and pieces. So you're 4. What your 4 got you is this. The performance that you're putting on just generally isn't being noticed. So it's not that people, like, when people notice you as a noble, they get out of your way, they sort of, you defer a little bit, but a lot of people are just, they're upset, they've been standing here all day, someone budges them, they yell at them, it happens to be you, like, they're not really noticing who you are until sort of after you've passed, and then you don't really see behind you with all the people going, what the fuck is going
Or they're like, oh my goodness, I yelled at that person. That's
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah.
All right.
But yes, you are able to get probably within like calling distance of the gate before things get like really pressed together, and you sort of are forced into sort of a bit more of the crowd and can't get that much more ahead. How many of you decided to go like move in Leone's wake, or were you actually just trying to stay in line?
I am not like royalty, so, and I was investigating. I'm assuming I didn't follow in Leone's wake. I was going wherever the information would take me.
I've
And
learned
Torroc
to
would have stuck with Mint.
I've learned to stay low a little bit, not stick out them.
Yeah, I think Wisp also would have hung back.
I figured everybody else just stayed back and I just went forward. how
The rest of her just like,
Yeah, pretty much, because Leone has never done this before. How close am I to the...
Only like 20 feet.
Okay. Is there an open space at the front gate?
What do you mean?
Well, I'm just wondering, right? There's guards and everybody there. So I'm wondering if they've like stopped everybody like before the gate. So there's an open space where you talk to the guards and they're just kind of letting
I see.
people...
Not much of one. Like, the press has been pretty hard that they're sort of stopping people as they get to them, and then mostly it opens up after that as people sort of are slowly moving into the city after they've talked to the guards.
Okay, but there is open space there.
Yeah, you'd probably be going, like, you'd be slightly, if you were going to teleport, you would end up slightly behind the guards.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. You know what? I'm going to do it. So I'm like, I can't get through. And then basically I disappear in a puff of mist off of my Felidar and then appear kind of behind the guards. And I'm like, hello.
Okay.
Interested. And I'm very friendly, but yeah, I'm probably going to get in trouble for this. I'm okay with this.
Oh, yeah.
It is a bonus action, though. It's only a bonus action to appear beside the guards.
I know. Give me a persuasion check. You are instantly needing to bring these guards down from being uber alert, and you're surrounded by swords and spears.
Yeah, natural 20.
Okay. They're like, okay, we're not going to kill you right away. We will let you talk. Who are you? And why did you appear here? And, you know, there's a couple of them that are turning back to the crowd like, yeah, no, this is somebody who's supposed to be here. Don't worry, we'll let you in time. The rest of the guys are like, what are you doing? You're not making this easy for us.
Yes, hello, terribly sorry, but I and my entourage wish entrance into the city, and as is obvious, I certainly couldn't wait in line with the rest of these people.
Okay.
No one can hear me because I'm far away. None of the party can hear me.
you didn't turn off your communication stone.
Oh, that would be hysterical as if I heard you. I don't think we kept up the conversation.
All right. So you're essentially saying you just wanted to sort of get past the crowd as a noble. You wanted to sort of get back into the city.
Yeah, exactly. Well, into the city.
Yeah.
Not back into the city, but into the city. And
And
you know, and I certainly like apologize that I appeared behind them. I understand that, of course, that was a bit of a breach in etiquette. But as you can see, there was hardly any room, and I certainly would not be attempting to get into the city without your say-so. Waggle my eyebrows at them convincingly.
Okay, so you are not a noble from the city.
Well, no, obviously not.
Okay. we appreciate your title and your standing. We still need to ask you a few questions given some of the events recently. Would that be okay, your lordship, ladyship, sir, ma'am?
Yes, of course, of course.
Okay. First one seems like a given, but we're just going to confirm. Do you have magic?
Yes.
Okay.
Quite.
Would you be willing to submit to a magical scan?
Well, yes. I assume you mean detect magic?
Something like that. We're just a bit of concerned about the moment, and those with special powers like your own, we're just needing to identify them right now.
Yes, certainly, of course.
Okay, great. And what is your purpose here in the city?
Well, we are actually on our way to. We haven't quite decided. We're considering between. Oh crap! I need to pull up the map. Sorry, give me a moment.
Leone remembers.
Yeah, we are considering between Van and Isova is where we are headed. So we wish transport.
So you're looking for a ship to take out of the port then?
Exactly.
That might be a problem right now.
I see.
We, as you can see, the city's under a bit of a tighter guard. We're not really letting anyone out. We're even having to screen those who are coming in, and the docks have been completely locked down.
They have. Yes. So, all right. Next question.
That's pretty much it. If you just step inside the gate room here, we'll do that little magical scan, of course, and we'll see how you're doing.
All right, and then if you can see way over there, see those tall fellows there, the one in the hood, and then the blue dragonborn?
You point. Talon's not there.
Oh crap! Where has he wandered off to? Can I at least see Torroc?
Yes.
Okay, the blue dragonborn, and I imagine that the tabaxi can be seen.
Yeah, probably.
And then can I see Jacob?
Jacob's probably a little harder to see. How tall are you, Jacob?
I think right around 6 foot.
Okay, so yeah, that's it. You can probably see like what you think is Jacob. Like again,
Like
decent
his
ways
hat?
down, but yeah, definitely you can see Jacob's
bird hat.
Got the
Yeah.
You can see the
fancy
bird
hat.
hat.
You see
Yep.
that fancy hat? Yes, those are my companions, my entourage, I should say, and I wish for them to gain entry at the same time as I do.
Well, we're not going to be able to get them through the crowd, but if you want to wait here and just point them out when they get to the gate, we'll let them in. They unfortunately will have to go through the same sort of scans and stuff that you do.
Oh yes, of course, I would expect no less. That is acceptable. And then I basically do the message show, and I'm like, all right, you're in. Just come along as quick as you like, please. And then I explain what's needed and everything like that. And where's Talyn? Where's Talyn? Talyn, where are you?
And
I'm inside.
Wait, what?
Talyn has not been with you for a while now.
Wait, what?
So before he left, I didn't want to interrupt the thing. He would have mentioned someone say like, I'll be back, and kind of slipped off somewhere, and then in response he would have messaged that he's now on the inside.
Oh, this is not going to go well for you, Leone.
I don't know if it might go fine for Leone, but yes.
Oops. Aeon says nothing. Other than Talyn.
Okay, so Leone, what you experience is this. You go into sort of a small room inside sort of the gatehouse, and there's an older human gentleman there. Not sort of, wizened and gray with the long beard and that sort of thing, but sort of, it's got the wrinkles and sort of, aged eyes and looks very tired. He's like, all right, come in, sit down. An elf. Oh, isn't that nice? Okay. Yes, so you have some magics, yes?
Yes.
All right. And he casts a spell. you, even without using Arcana, you can sort of figure out that it's like detect magic, but it seems like it's got a slight variation on it. And you're not quite sure exactly what the effect is to him, but he sort of finishes it and sort of looks at you for a moment and then sort of nods and reaches behind him and grabs sort of this weird sort of plaque-like thing and hands it to you. It's on a bit of a cord. It's like, you'll need to wear that while you're in the city. And it's essentially, it's a neck piece with a large orange sort of square attached to it.
There's a moment of awkward silence. Leone is like, you have to be kidding me. What does the orange square denote, perchance?
Oh, roughly your level of power with your magics.
Is there like is there like a line of these plaques?
There's a yellow, orange, and red.
Okay, so I'm in the middle. Basically, is what I figure. Okay.
Think of it kind of scarlety.
All right. Then I accept this. I try and find a way to wear it as fashionably as possible.
Fair. It has to be visible, but as fashionably as possible, I will accept.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
The rest of you, in due time, it's probably now well into evening by the time you get to the gate.
So I've actually realized what I can do is I will basically go and stand with the guards. No, this is great. They just have to get within 30 feet of the front of the line, and I can trade places with them, pop back, trade places with them, pop back, trade places.
You probably do that once, and the guards are like, "Please don't do that. Please stop doing that. Just we'll get them here, and please, everyone else is getting very upset. We don't like these big shows of things."
Then, so I've done that once. Who would I have gotten? I would probably trade places with Whisp first.
Okay.
And then I ask Whisp, actually, after you've gone and had this, the questions, could you maybe come out and entertain the folks? And if my friend entertains the folks, then could I continue to bring my entourage?
We are very sorry. It's just been a long day, and everyone around here is tired, and these folks don't really want to hear music. They just want to get into the city.
Fine.
And Whisp says, "I don't think it'll really take that long, Leone. I think it's fine. We'll just wait in the line. It's good."
Also,
Well, you're not waiting in the line anymore.
No,
you're now
you're
with
the
them. Yeah, you're at the front of the line now.
So yes,
Can't you also only use that once until you've rested again or cast a conjuration spell?
Yes, with which Misty Step is a conjuration spell.
Oh, I get what you're doing. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
Nice.
every time I cast Misty
You
Step,
go alternating back
I
and
come
forth.
back, it refreshes.
Yep. Nice.
all right. So you get Wisp there and you come back, and the others get there in a decent amount of time. So yes, who says yes they have magic of the group of you?
I think Tor would go, "That's complicated."
All right, into the room you go.
Yeah, no, and I think Leone would definitely point out and be like, "Yes, Wisp has magic and Jacob has magic. Torroc
Okay.
has magic." And then when somebody's like, "Does this person have magic?" pointing to Minisette, then Leone is like, "No."
But hey,
No,
you don't have to wear a nice black. You're like, all right, you're good. You can go on. So yes, essentially you all end up with Jacob and Wisp. You both end up with sort of orange blacks. Torroc, he sort of looks at you and cocks his head and looks at you a little longer and sort of rummages around. Gives you a green plaque.
Not that kind of dragon. The kid walks out.
Yeah, you have magic. It's just weird and not that significant. And as far as he knows, you're like, you can cast a 0th level spell. So yeah. Okay. You are all now inside the city. Talyn has been inside the city for a while. What were you doing while you were waiting for the others?
Probably just poking around relatively near the entrance. Doesn't want to get too far away and doesn't expect anything bad to happen, but just probably trying to get like a feel for the city, seeing, if there's a feel for like, okay, this is the merchant district, that's this or that, and just a feel for like just that section of the town. Nothing too crazy.
All right. The section of the town you're in is pretty packed. This is like, it's not slums, but this is a poor section of town just around the gate. There's a few sort of small markets where it's very much sort of small local things, and some of the merchants sort of break off and just sort of start selling to sort of the people in these sort of poorer quarters. Yeah, there's not a lot of significance and sort of big houses. There's like tall like tenement houses, but they're sort of the ones that sort of crowd the small alleys and sort of go out over the alley as they come up and that sort of thing. Yeah, it's a bit of a, if you're away from the main road, it's a bit of a rough and tumble sort of area of town.
All right, Talyn would have found some kind of a street meat that looked appealing, and would have basically brought it, waited to start eating it until he finally saw the group emerge, and then he would start eating it.
All right. So it's relatively cold by then. It's taken a little while, but yes, you sort of appear eating your, kebab.
And I realized if I would have sent Ranu, like while I was stuck waiting, I would have sent Ranu into the city to look for Talyn.
All right. Like, would that have caused a commotion? Ranu probably would have had a significantly hard time finding Talyn, at least for a while. Until
I can make a perception check and then...
until Talyn became visible again. That's how we got over the wall so easily. But yes, after that, it would take a significant amount of time because, again, they're like really, especially from the area, you're looking at like really narrow slits of these sort of crowded alleys. There's lots of people around. It would have taken a little bit of time to find Talyn. Probably about like a little bit before Talyn finds you is when Ranu finds Talyn.
Yeah, that's fine. It's just, again, like Leone probably doesn't have really anything to do, so is just in this area waiting for her friends and just kind of sitting there, not present with other people around who can make sure that nothing gets stolen, but is just basically using Ranu's eyes and ears to fly around looking for Talyn.
All right.
And then lands on a rooftop or someplace near Talyn and screams at him with an owl, so you can see that there's an owl who's there like.
I like you said screams at you in owl. That was the...
Yeah,
Talyn
definitely.
Look up, take a bite of his little kebab.
You're pretty certain it's a bird meat of some sort. And on that note, I realize we're really late to take our break, so we're going to do that now.
Do we want to take a break or just play through?
I'd be okay if we wanted to play through.
There's an episode title, though. You're pretty sure it's a type of bird meat.
Yeah, I'm thinking that we may not go too late tonight, so if people are good with like just another half hour-ish or so, then we can play through.
Sure.
All right. And we're back from our break. Thank you for joining us again. Okay,
We'll do that break in post. It's fine.
Yes.
No, we won't.
Okay, so you start to make your way into the city, and I mean the main route into the city is clear. Like there's the main road. Most people are following that. If you go off the main road, it is clearly sort of these sort of thick, tenement houses and that sort of thing. And I'm assuming you're not aiming to head into any of those quarters and that you're heading deeper into the city. You get to a bridge, which is sort of a good high arcing bridge that goes over the river, because you're on the opposite side of the river from the main part of the city. And yeah, you can see like this bridge is definitely tall enough that like decent sized riverboats could easily go underneath it. So nice high arching like long walk of this bridge over the city, and you come down into a relatively nicer area of town. You've left the poorer quarter behind before you got to the bridge, and it was starting to get to a nicer area, sort of slightly smaller, slightly spaced out, more spaced out houses. You get over the bridge, and it's like drastically different. You are clearly in a form of like some noble's quarters, and there's a good sized inn that's sort of right there, where you could stay if you wanted to. There's some gardens around it. You can see almost directly ahead of you is that massive thing that you saw over the walls. I'm not quite sure if any of you would have seen anything like this before. This is a coliseum, essentially. It's this, massive, several-story structure. You can see now that it's sort of got these round, curving walls, and it's quiet at the moment. But yeah, you can see in sort of the many torches. There's like torches lit all around the top of it, and in the sort of the lamplight and torchlight of the city, this sort of big structure that's looming up over everything else.
Now, again, Leone is familiar with the history of Rakeen. Would Leone know what this is and what it's for?
It is the Colosseum of Razavel. It is for games and celebrations and that sort of thing. So it is not like it is a significant landmark for the country, but it is not necessarily for like a special, religious events or anything like that.
But so is it for like pit fighting?
No.
Okay.
Like
that's all I wanted to know.
There's gladiators that fight here, but it's like a different level than pit fighting.
Right, but no. So there is fighting for exhibition here.
Yes.
Okay. Then Leone is definitely like, ooh.
Okay.
And because that was a thing
that's fair.
That came up.
There's the big inn right in front of you. You can see that most of the sort of the traffic seems to be sort of moving right past it and sort of into other areas of the city. At this point, once you're across the bridge, it sort of branches off mostly either straight or to the left, sort of heading off in various different directions. You know that the docks would be to the left, even though nothing's departing from the docks. You could try and set up passage. You could try and find an inn. It's getting late evening at this point. What would you like to do?
But you said that this inn looked fancy. It's fairly close to the Colosseum, and it's got nice gardens.
There's a whole sort of set of gardens that are sort of behind it, but they're not belonging to the inn necessarily. But yeah.
Okay, and it's also close to the Colosseum.
There's probably others that are closer, but it's sort of close to where you are right now. Like the inn is right there, and the Colosseum's still a little ways off. It's just massive. That's why it's here. Yeah.
Okay. But it's getting later in the day, so
it is fully dark out. It is late evening.
Yeah, so then Leone definitely inadvertently kind of picks up the pace, and like is starting to kind of make a bit of a beeline towards the inn. Okay. And excited by the Colosseum, and it's just like, oh, fancy accommodations and gladiatorial combat. This is what she's thinking.
All right, you get to the inn. And there are two sort of, footmen outside. It's like, hello, good lady. How could we serve you this fine evening?
Oh, you've already done so much. We are interested. I have been out traveling in the world. And so your greeting, in and of itself, is such a wonderful, wonderful thing. We are interested in accommodations. Mm-hmm. Do you have vacancy in your inn?
We do have some rooms available. Yes, there's unfortunately a bit of an extra crowd in the city tonight, given everything that's been happening. But yes, I do believe we still have some rooms that are available.
Excellent. Then, if you'll allow us to pass, we will enter and see what is available.
You and your entourage?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Yes. If you'd like to see the innkeeper inside, I'm sure they will. Do you have any luggage? Anything we can carry for you?
Oh, no, but thank you. Thank you so much. I pass him a silver piece.
Seems slightly like that's not enough. And
Well, I mean, I've been to big. Is that not enough? Like, again, I would know how much to tip people, I would think.
It would probably be at least 5 silver if they were going to do a job for you. So I guess for even just a bit of information, a silver might be okay. But yeah, they'd probably be expecting a little bit more, like a gold coin for them doing their full job would be sort of a useful, yeah.
Okay, like, so should I give them 5 silver for having done nothing other than just greet us?
No, but like he doesn't make a comment about it. But you get the feeling like this is a very high-end establishment.
Oh, well,
So-
I mean, then I pass him another 2.
Okay.
I make it 3.
All right. Okay. So yes, the rest of you, assuming you are following Leone into the inn, this is like expensive, opulent, lavish, like this.
Mint is worried we're going to spend all our money in one place in one night.
There's like indoor fountains and like a little koi pond.
Mint is actually like tugging on Leone's robe going, we can't afford this. You can stay
Yeah.
here, but I'm going somewhere else.
Wisp looks at Talyn and she says, I thought you said you didn't usually spend this much. She's just so uncomfortable. She's like this giant cat who's like trying to take up as little space as possible. Right?
And Mint's already small, and
Yeah.
same thing. Mint is trying to take up very little space, even
Yeah.
less than usual.
I love how
Yeah.
this is the opposite of every other place we've ever stayed, where the rest of the party is like, this is lovely, and Leone is like, oh, can I stay here? And now we go to this place where Leone is just basking and is like, finally, and so many of her friends are just like, oh, this is terrible.
Yeah.
Tor is just like trying not to break things. Can't
All in a
afford-
china shop.
Talyn looks calm, but definitely turns to Wisp in response and just says, we don't.
I didn't know if you were going to stay here, and I haven't named this inn. What would you like this inn to be named?
Fancy pants in.
What was that? Fancy Pants Inn?
Fancy pants in.
No, it would be the voluminous pantaloons. No.
The prancing
How about the
Philidar.
opulent pantaloons?
The opulent respite.
The respite.
Opulent respite. That's nice.
The
The prancing Philidar sounds like it.
what's the word I'm thinking of?
The gilded receptacle.
That makes it sound like a golden urinal.
That's awesome.
Oh, okay, there we go. It is the Rose of Respite.
Sweet. Sounds good. And what was
Mostly Virtue just as the Rose, yes.
right. And oh, maybe not. I'm like, wasn't the place in Silver Lake? Wasn't it like a flower name?
Probably. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Well, there was the
Uh,
napping
It was called the
gnome.
Wilted Bedsheet, I think.
There's the Napping Gnome and
place that I was
the
staying.
Muse, Minstrel's Muse.
Minstrel's Muse. Okay, yeah, it feels a bit similar.
Yes, and you get to this like long, desk with several people behind it, and there's definitely one who's like dressed in sort of lavish robes, who seems to be sort of overseeing the others that are, and seeing Leone, they will step forward, and it's like, good evening, your ladyship. How might we serve you this evening?
Well, my companions and I would like a room. Definitely like stumbles over my entourage. No, my companions, because they're right beside me.
And sort of looks and is like, okay, 6 of you.
Yeah.
So we have a medium suite as well as a large suite available if you'd like.
How many beds are in the large suite?
The large suite would be 10 beds total, 3 of which would be for the the masters of the group.
10 beds total, you say. And what about the medium room then?
That would have 2 larger beds and 4 others. So again, 6, yes.
All right. I think we will take the medium room.
All right. A medium suite would be 15 gold pieces for the night.
All right. And I'm just curious. I'm trying to figure out how many days we're going to wish to stay. It sounds like this has been some unpleasant business. And we are actually interested in getting a ship out of the city, but it sounds like that may not be for some time. Has there been any word for how long this lockdown will be?
We've only just heard of this happening in the last day or so. I do not know how long it would take to resolve what's going on. Yes, it's some unfortunate business with a young girl or something. Yes, so I do not know the ways of our leaders of our fair city here, and with the control of the benevolent empire in Razaval, you can see that's just with a hint of spite and sarcasm. Yes, it might take them a little bit of time to figure out exactly who's at cause for this and find the culprit. I unfortunately do not know how long this lockdown might last.
I see. Do you have someone that we might be able to employ to find out a ship that might be available for us?
Yes, we could send a runner to the docks for you, yes.
All right, excellent. Well, we'll be interested in doing that tomorrow. For now, then, I will just pay the 15 for the one night. We will stay for the one night and we will decide, based on the information, how long we wish to stay.
And would you like any meals sent up?
Yes, I think after that experience, I think we would all do well with some meals.
Okay. Did you want to do the meals on a meal-by-meal basis, or would you like to simply have them available when needed?
Friends, what do we think? Do we want?
So Wisp speaks up, and she kind of like she's obviously trying to appear much like braver than she is actually feeling. And she kind of like draws herself.
This is the challenge of the.
Draws herself up to her full height, and she says, Leone, you have been very generous and I appreciate it, but I can't keep taking your kindness like this, and I can't afford this. And she leaves.
Wow.
Just like not like leaving the group, but she does leave this in.
Back to that in a moment. What does everyone else do to react to that?
You pissed off the cat, and I'm going to go run after.
Mint was going to go check up on Wisp, but based on Jacob's response, she's actually going to just stay put.
Yeah.
Dinner sounds lovely.
I think that'll be on an ad hoc basis.
Right. Then for another 5 gold, we'll send up dinner.
All right. Yes. Excellent.
So yes, you pay them 20 gold, and you have the rooms, and dinner will be sent up. Wisp, you get back outside. What do you do? Jacob joins you shortly.
Wisp planned as far as walking outside. She does not know what she's going to do now, so she's just kind of like gonna stand there a little bit dazed. She's also not used to being in big cities or around, like, she's not uncomfortable with this many people, but she's just dazed by being in a city, and so it's probably like people kind of like bump into her, but she's a giant cat, so she's just
most people are like giving you a bit of a berth.
Okay.
They have never seen, like, even in this big city where there's all sorts of people, they have never seen one of your kind before. They're like, oh, that's okay. Was that a cat person? That was a cat person, wasn't it? That was very strange.
Yeah. Wisp doesn't notice this. She's probably just standing there like having a mini anxiety attack about the confrontation with Leo.
So Jacob, you come out to seeing sort of Whisp standing semi in the middle of the street with sort of crowd going around her.
Yeah. Talyn will join like shortly thereafter, but obviously Jacob will be there first.
Okay.
Hey, Whisp, how's it going?
It's I don't want Leone to feel like I don't appreciate it, but it's just so much money. And she again like kind of takes out her purse and she like jingles it a bit and just shows that she has like money, but definitely not. She hasn't been adventuring, right? She hasn't been adventuring. She doesn't have that scale of money. She's never seen that scale of money. So she says, it's so generous, and I just like I feel like I owe her this money, and I don't think I can ever pay her back this money, and I don't know what I'm gonna do, and I've never.
Now I know how you're feeling. When all this started, I was but a poor person, and the skills that this group has come together has made it a very profitable venture, and I think you'll see. If you stick around with us a little while, you will also benefit from our skills and stuff, because I myself I've never seen this much coin before. It's overwhelming, but I got used to it. You know how I got used to it?
How?
If I was feeling like it was too much, I would gamble some of it away. I felt like I was giving back to others. I mean, it is my skills that got me this money. Don't doubt that. But I would just gamble here and there a little bit. I mean, remember the game we played? Yeah, just a little. Don't worry about it. You know what? And Leone means well. And to be honest, if you get on her good side, she may even name an animal after you. Jacob's doing a really lousy job of making you feel better. A little scattered, but this is really he thinks he's helping out.
Yep.
Okay. So Whisp is listening and she's kind of like, oh, okay. Okay. What kind of animal?
A majestic horse.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how I feel about horses.
And Wisp, Leone considers you already a friend. We've been through so much, and Leone is generous. And it might be insulting, like it might hurt her feelings if you don't accept her generosity. I've learned to accept it quite a bit.
Okay, so when you say that it might hurt Leone's feelings, Wisp is like, oh no. Oh, I don't want to hurt her feelings. It's just so much. It's just I feel like I've known her for such a short time, but this and she just starts kind of like babbling words that don't really go together in coherent sentences.
That's probably about when Talyn arrives.
That's fair. Yeah. Okay. So Talyn will walk up and see the two of them talking, and like we'll turn to Wisp to say, "This is not usual."
even though it's happened every time, 3 times, 4 times in a row. Talyn, do you think it's becoming usual? I'm just reflecting there in a moment.
Yes. So yeah, Talyn will turn to Wisp and to say, Leone is accustomed to a nicer bed to sleep in. This does not happen often. I think she needs this. So.
Okay. So Wisp nods along, but then she says, "But she's an elf. She does not sleep. Why does she need the nice bed?" And then it's like clear that she's kind of like about to go into another spiral, but then she stops herself. She says, "Okay, Jacob, you said that your adventures tend to be very profitable. So I shall accept Leone's kindness and endeavor to pay her back at my soonest convenience." And then just in the same way that she stormed out, she storms back in.
I love it.
And as she comes through the door, she just kind of like yells to the lobby. She says, "Leone, I thank you for your generosity."
I imagine Leone has already left and gone upstairs to get food.
But
It's like,
Tor
oh
actually,
yes, we'll have you seen up to your room.
And Wisp says, okay. And lets them lead her to the room.
So just after Wisp storms back in, there's a we'll say like a half orc, but like well dressed and not dangerous in any sense. Who's just sort of moves right up between Jacob and Talyn outside. It's like, here, have these, and is just handing out pamphlets and just keeps moving on to others.
Nice.
Yeah,
Look at the pamphlet.
Yeah.
Okay, you look at the pamphlet and you both sort of read it and look up at each other. Both of your eyes have turned bright blue and seem to be glowing slightly. The pamphlet was essentially for this after dark club that is sort of becoming, I guess they're trying to make a big thing of it in town. It's over in the Green District. Yeah.
Talyn will kind of look at Jacob and kind of point at his eyes and be like, nothing.
Your eyes are glowing. This is so cool. Do you want to go to a party? Can we? Can we go to a party? Should we invite the others? I think we should go to a party. Wisp would love it, I can tell.
Talyn thinks about it for a moment and says, why not? By the way, your eyes are glowing too.
Oh, yes.
And as you move back inside to get the others, I'm assuming, because you at least haven't eaten. Maybe you want to have a meal before you head out. You do notice in the fountains that are sort of set up inside this place, there are actually little water nymphs that are sort of frolicking around in the waters as well. Yeah, I'm assuming they're well paid. But yes, there's little water nymphs that are sort of causing other extra little fountains to come about. And yep, this place is extremely extravagant. And yes, we'll say you go up to the room to enjoy a meal and to let the others know about this potential party location, and we will end there and pick things up next time. See what this party is, and if the party wants to go to the party.
I just want to mention that when they get back up, Leone either has finished casting or is in the middle of casting Unseen Servant, so that when we have the food, basically there's an unseen servant that can serve us, and the food's just floating around to whoever wishes it.
Okay. The server that comes up with the food is slightly put off by this.
Oh, I mean, if they're going to stick around, then I wouldn't do it. But I just.
Oh yeah, no. There's a team of 3 that come in with a large cart of food, and yeah, 2 of them stay to serve you.
Oh, then I imagine Leone pulls out her spell book, and then they stay, and then she's like, oh, lovely.
Yeah, and so a quick description of your suite. There's a main common room with 6 rooms off of that, 2 of which are sort of on one side and have much larger beds. They also have the windows. The other 4 are sort of on the inside portion and are just sort of smaller rooms, probably for servants and such.
It's like a city.
Is there in the main area? Is there like a chaise lounge in the?
Oh yeah.
Excellent. Leone
this is bigger than my house.
Leone is reclining in the chaise lounge, eating food, just looking more at home than you have ever seen her.
And we will
when Jacob come up with these little pamphlets.
Yeah.
When we show them to other people, assuming they read the pamphlet, does anything happen to them?
Who wants to read a pamphlet?
Their eyes are glowing when they come in.
Yep. It's starting to fade a little bit, but yeah.
And they're trying to hand out pamphlets while their eyes are glowing?
Yep.
I don't want to read it.
Wisp would read it.
Yeah, Tor would read it.
Nice.
You now have glowing blue eyes, and yeah, it's really intense at first, and then slowly starts to fade. It only seems to last for about like 5 minutes or so.
Right. I was making sure that there's no untoward effects other than just glowing eyes and is ready to cast Dispel Magic. But then it's like,
there's a
cosmetic.
very subtle enchantment on the paper that when you read it, your eyes turn blue and glow for a short period of time.
All right.
Yeah. And as we relax into the opulence of this very rare place to leave our characters for a while, we'll leave things there and pick things up in a couple of weeks, and maybe you'll just decide to retire into this inn and stay here forever, but if not, then we'll see where things go from there. Thank you for joining us tonight. I had no clue exactly how far this was going to get and where we're going to go and what was going to be interesting and not, but this has been a fun session. Thank you all for providing such fun little story elements. So, pick things up in Razaval next time and see how things go. All right. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.